first time I drove this, having come out of single-seaters, just being stunned by the amount of pace, just the sheer performance of it. It's a real animal. It's Formula One speeds, Formula One performance, and it demands the same respect. Every time you get in this, you need to be absolutely on point and lock in.
Enter in the dance, plug it in and we begin. Crowd up in the center, they watch with the rhythm. Watch the way we drop it in a mix time. Rise and amplifying when we come in with the swing. Just following the pattern, naturally harmonizing. Climb into position with synchronized rhythms. Live from outer ghetto, we maximize it. Sound of the groove armada with super styling. Super styling. That's how we drop it on the up on the long. One time lyrics, they must stick on your mind. Proper baseline, proper baseline, proper baseline. I go proper.
Ben Collins third as they dive through the right-hander for the first time. Good stuff as well by Ben Collins, up from 5th to 3rd. Now look at this for 2nd place. Ben Collins is still inching up onto the tail here of John Nielsen in the red and white dome. 2nd and 3rd, down they come towards the Melbourne hairpin. Ben Collins has a look on the inside. Can he get through that side by side into the corner? And Ben Collins is going to do it. Fantastic. He won here last year in Formula 3. He's up to 2nd in sports cars this year.
The Ferrari finally doesn't get past Ben Collins. Well, Ben fights back. They almost touch. There's a bit of leaning going on up onto the curb. Goes the zone for Ferrari. And Ben Collins is not to be denied. Great battle.
Outside of Formula One, the Le Mans 24 Hours is the most challenging motor racing series in the world, with speeds exceeding 220 miles an hour and packed grids of 50-something cars racing in different classes at different speeds. It's like boxing, where the heavyweights, the middleweights and the welterweights are all in the same ring at the same time. It's high-speed chaos and precisely where I want it to be. I've won races in Formula 3, and in 2001 the Le Mans field was packed with Grand Prix drivers I was eager to beat. Guys like Mark Blundell and Julian Bailey in the MG and Martin Brundle in the Bentley. Ascari was just a small independent team from Banbury, but the brainchild of an engineering pioneer called Klaus Schwarz. His dream was to build a supercar company and promote it by winning Le Mans. Klaus also designed the Ascari resort and circuit near Marbella, where every corner replicated the most iconic curves from the Formula One circus. Racing the Ascari was the peak of my racing career, and my first Le Mans, it rained for 17 out of 24 hours. I can remember hitting puddles at 200 miles an hour during the night. Brown breeches, I can tell you. Le Mans is the ultimate test of man and machine. The machines break down, the man breaks down. But the Ascari took to it like a duck to water, and I managed to overtake everyone to get us within a chance of hunting down the lead Audis until a dodgy fuel pump ended our race during the night. The cornering forces of the Ascari could crack ribs, and I had to train for 3 hours a day just to be strong enough to drive it properly. When I was in my prime, I could lap the Ascari for 4 hours straight to within a few tenths of a second. But 25 years later, I wonder, do I still have what it takes?
This track is stunning, but Paul Ricard is a historically amazing Formula One track, and now it's like it is a racetrack still, but it's become known as one of the sort of most advanced testing tracks in the world. They don't use sand traps. They use these high friction surfaces marked in red and blue, which are pretty funky to look at. It's quite cool on camera. That scrub the speed off. The thing is, if you do use them, you obliterate your tyres. They just shred the surface off the tyre. But it does work quite well, unless you go straight on with no brakes, of course. It's cool, this place. It's so well maintained and manicured. March, April is when they do what's called the prologue, pre-season testing. So European Le Mans Series will always kind of start here. There's 2 or 3 days of big testing. All the big teams come in. And then Peter Auto in the classic Le Mans racing is following the same mould. So all the big teams are out with their gear. The Ascari LMP hasn't run for about 10 years. The last time I ran it was at the Ascari Resort. And it's basically been mothballed. But the car's been bought by some very enthusiastic race team, and with Sam Hancock, who's sourced the car, restored it with Pastorelli, and they've just, apart from what I understand, they've absolutely gone to town, and so this is the first completed chassis. There are 2 more in the making, and this is its first big test, so it's quite a big deal for them. All right, here we go. It's been a few years. Let's see how today goes. is my old racing car from 2001. It's hard to believe it's that long ago. And it's just amazing to see it fully restored back to exactly how it was when I drove it. This is quite a spaceship. It's a very unusual looking car, so what is it? It's the closest thing I can describe it as is a Formula One car with more bodywork on it. That's kind of what it is. Back here where it says Judd, that's a Judd Formula One 4-litre V10 engine, you know, the ones that sound amazing. It's a real screamer, 11,500 RPM. The horsepower is debatable. I've heard everything between 620 up to 800 horsepower, hotly debated. I think it has more than 600, but it only weighs 900 kilos. That's why it's called LMP 900. So back when this was racing, there were two categories of car. This one, 900 Ks, weighs less than a Mini, and 675 that was even lighter, but it had less power. But this was the one to be in. Like Formula One, you've got carbon disc brakes, so the stopping power is phenomenal, and you need that because this baby did 220 miles an hour at Le Mans, and with the trees whipping past you, that feels really fast. It's a very exciting car to drive, very, very physical. You get up to about 4G cornering. You're always, wherever you go, I always remember looking at the data traces. You're always doing 160 miles an hour somewhere. You're just pulling through the gears. The car's got so much power, it just rips down the straight. So you're always doing at least 160 or up and beyond 200 miles an hour. All the aero, everything you can see, every surface is working. These louvers on the front. So the air sort of whips in and out of here, but it's very key that this air comes through here quickly. Not just for cooling the brake discs, which it does help with, but it's also the airflow sucking it through to fly it across the bodywork into that low profile tail. This car actually is even older than when I raced it because it's based on a T92 Lola, which was raced at the World Sports Car Championship in 1992, and they basically cut the roof off to make this. And you do feel quite exposed when you're sitting in it. It's quite a big space, and your head is literally in the air. So when it rains, the rain goes on your face, oil gets thrown on your face, the whole thing. You're just there in front of it. Bugs, everything that's going to hit you just hits you in the face. You have a helmet, but you know what I'm saying. In the cockpit, really spacious, which is always nice. From racing single seats, you get used to your elbows and your knees getting smacked about, but steering wheel looks familiar to Formula One. Big thing you'll see that's different in sports cars is the fuses, because you need to be able to isolate systems. If you get a misfire on the track, Le Mans is a very long lap. You have to get yourself home, which means you get given a toolkit so you can try and fix problems. I'm a crap mechanic. You're expected to be able to see what is going on here at night, which is quite tough with no lighting. So I try to memorize these and be able to just put my finger straight on the right button at the right time. But you get the idea. The thing with sports car rules, that's what this is classed as, a sports car. It's designed to fit two people. There's no way you're getting anyone in there because that's where all the ECU is. You've got fire extinguishers and all that stuff. But technically, you can move that somewhere else in the car and fit a second human being into the hot seats and scare the living hell out of them. But that's what they're designed for. That's why they're a bit bigger. I love them. I think these cars have a real presence. Sort of ultimate badass. So the peak of my career, really, racing top category at Le Mans. So very fond memories. But they're really amazing bits of kit. So despite the fact that this was born in the 90s, had the roof cut off, it was then redesigned. John McNeil did all the, I think, the base engineering to create this new profile shape. And then the aero was updated again by Andy Coventry. He went on to Jaguar Formula One later and he redesigned the nose area. One of the interesting things that he did the first time he saw this car was he just looked at it with a hacksaw and he came to the back and basically chopped off a piece of bodywork from the floor here, basically. Chopped off about 1.5 inches from the rear floor. And we tested this car, you know, we'd raced it for a year by that point. So everyone was looking at him. He turned up, he looked a bit like Adrian Mole. He had the little glasses on, little short haircut. He was very, very quiet chap, but very intelligent. This is a man who had replicated testing in a wind tunnel on an Excel spreadsheet. Anyway, took his hacksaw out. All the mechanics were like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Chopped it off and we went a second a lap faster, which anyone in motorsport will tell you is a massive gain. The rest of the time he made up about just over half a second a lap, redesigning the frontal area and changing this air intake. So this air intake to the engine is an air restrictor to control how much power this beast has. By the time we got to racing it, our second year at Le Mans, we had won the Tourist Trophy at Donington, finished third in the World Sports Car Championship with this car, and then we went into the second year campaign. It was a very, very slippery and fast car, which unfortunately crashed out very early on in 2002 when we had a really good chance of success because there was a mistake at the rear end with the rear bolts and the rear suspension failed. Nevertheless, this thing's extremely lively.
If you've watched my videos, you're probably thinking to yourself, that bloke must be uninsurable. And to be fair, there's fewer providers these days that can cover what I do on the road as well as on the track. But that is where Adrian Flux comes in. Adrian Flux is the UK's largest specialist insurance broker and can find you the right policy for your car or home. If you like classic cars, that's not a problem. They can find you a policy to cover that. And if you like living life in the fast lane on tracks like this, they've got you covered. Click on the link in the description to find out more or get in touch with one of their experts to arrange a quotation.
With all the kit off, you can sort of see a bit more how it works. Big carbon discs, massive, with huge cooling ducts here. And then underneath that outer bodywork, you can see a bit more of the aero. So it's a fairly flat floor. You want the air to go underneath the car as quickly as possible. Towards the rear, the boys are just warming the car up, so that's got, it's kind of plugged into artificial heating. So this is heating the water system, pumping hot fluids around the car. That gets a little bit of hot water around the engine, starts to give it a bit of core temperature before they switch it on and start warming it up. So there's a procedure to warming up one of these things, and it's got to be really careful how you do it. You don't just crank it and rev it for a bit when it's cold. So they have to pre-warm the engine, then they can fire it up. Amazing being back in here. This is not my seat, this is Sam's. I'm just trying to see if it will fit. But the seat is pretty essential because this car will generate like up to 4G cornering force and a lot of G under braking. So when you brake, you don't want to sort of harpoon yourself down towards the footwell, and you don't want to slop around in the corners. That's quite knackering, and you physically can't hang on. The steering as well is quite heavy. Historically, we never have power steering. So you need every ounce of strength to control where the car's going, and you need to be positioned quite well to be able to get the brake. However hard you press the brake, from 160 miles an hour plus, you'll never lock a wheel. You can't get to the limit. That's so much downforce. So every ounce of strength you've got in your leg is what you put into that brake pedal. So again, there's a lot of physical strength required to drive the car, and that's why the seating position is really crucial. And also because it's quite tight. So once the steering wheel's on, you don't want to be catching your legs. This one's got quite a big spacer on it, which is helpful to try and clear. I can't get the steering wheel on, embarrassing. Just gonna leave that there. But yeah, you don't want your arms getting stuck onto your legs because steering is underrated. Direction control, things like that. There's quite a few things that are different, but there's a lot that is exactly like being at home. It's a car I've spent many, many happy hours in before, but I think this will do. I'll take it.
Before you even think about driving a Le Mans prototype, you start here, the seat fitting. It may not look glamorous, but it's vital because in a car this precise and this fast, you need to be perfectly and physically connected to it, so the car effectively just becomes an extension of your body. So the team mixes a two-part expanding foam, pours it into a bag that molds to your body, and then, hey presto, you become a part of the car.
Right, Sam, thank you very much for letting me down to drive this car.
You're welcome.
What's the journey been like? You've restored this car from something that was under a tarpaulin, I believe,
Yeah,
in Spain.
Depending on which starting point you pick, the journey's been quite long. I mean, the cars have only been in restoration for about a year with Pastorelli, but before that, there was this kind of, I think it was a 2-year period from when I first saw them creep onto the market, and it was kind of a bit of a subtle, untidy listing on a website somewhere that the whole original Works Ascari team package, all 3 chassis that they built, the 2 cars that you raced plus the spare chassis, was still with Klaus Fahrt, who is obviously your old boss, and all in Spain with all the molds, the spares, the tooling, everything. And I don't know, for me it's become a passion project because I remember those days. We were in the FIA Sports Car Championship together in the early 2000s. I was racing against the Ascaris. You guys were often, showing us your exhaust pipes a bit too often. I knew the cars were quick. I always thought they were beautiful. They sounded unbelievable. So when I saw them kind of become available for sale, I was like, oh, I just have to find a way. They're too nice, too full of potential to sit under a dust sheet. And we've chosen to restore the cars to Spec 2, if you like, the facelifted bodywork, but all that original Spec 1 bodywork that I think you spend a lot of time with the car wearing, it's all in the spares package. Out of the box, it was relatively quick already, and you know what it's like with these things. You can go and do performance testing, dial in the balance, and find fistfuls of lap time, both in setup and driving, and that's the next step. But for now, we're just here to have fun. And
I'm so excited. All right, I'm gonna go and have a little stretch and a warm up and just get focused. So I'm gonna get ready. But
fun. Enjoy.
Thanks, Sam.
Beautiful day for it. Here we go. This will be the first lap then. Hot tyres are on the car, straight from the oven, or from the tyre warmers. But it's still going to take a couple of laps to get these bad boys in. And I've never driven on this one. I get the impression that it's more of an endurance tyre than a sticky gripper. But it's a Michelin, and they're normally very good. Back in the day, we were on Dunlops and Goodyears. Look at that pit lane though. A familiar looking pit lane, but this car doesn't feel that familiar after all these years. A lot that does, but let's just get to know each other again, shall we? Bloody hell. Oh, holy crap. Oh. Jeez. Those brakes are stone cold, and then they bit. Small lock up, that's also embarrassing. First lap out of the pits. Let's try and get this thing warmed up. See where we're going. She feels good, very smooth, more than the driver. Alright, let's get this guy warm. Airspeed, with wind on your head, pulling my neck left and right in the straights. Super responsive, as you'd expect. Very flat track, so the corners are quite blind. Slowly coming back. Lots of tightening radius corners that are fantastic for spinning out of control. Hyper-responsive engine. God, these brakes taking their time to come in. Someone's taken out cone.
Yeah, he's looking good so far. It's so nice to sit here on the pit wall and get that experience of the car driving by at full song and just hearing that V10 at 11,000 revs, seeing Ben's helmet colours back in the car. It just brings all those archive photos from the period back to life. I love it.
Damn, this is tiring. One lap left and a breather. Well, as first runs go, shabby, but room for improvement. Towards the end, kind of getting it. One of the harder things to get right is braking point and downshifting. Just to try and time it and be able to blip the throttle correctly for the revs, but it's just a braking point. These copper brakes are very strong, but they need to be treated very harshly to get the most out of them. Right now, I'm sort of like Bambi on ice, figuring out where the grip is, just remembering to trust the grip when it's there. But I'm aware where yet, and it's going to take a little bit of honeymooning before me and this car get back together again full time. But it was starting to come together, starting to get happy, breaking into turn one. Not so happy in the really fast stuff, where this feels like entering a new world. Still, it's a good start, and the car's in one piece. Shock and awe. It's just what I remembered, really. It's got so much grip. The car's so physical to drive and so much speed all the time. It's just getting used to how to make the most of what the potential is in the brakes, particularly, because you've got to really hit them to get the most out of them, but at the same time the tyres need to be in. So made my first boo-boo on the cold tyres, trying to do that a bit too soon for my own good. Feeling the downforce. I mean, this car is still being developed from when it came out of mothballs, so they're still playing with the balance. But I've got a good feeling for it, and it is all flooding back. Although it does feel like one of your mates you haven't seen since you were a teenager getting back together again. It's a little bit lumpy at first, but towards the end of that run, things are starting to click a bit. Hopefully by the second run, if I get one, because there's a big accident, I'll be more at home, and I want to feel back at home with this thing. Want to have a proper handshake. But anyway, first run in the bag. So far, so okay.
This lunch is a little bit of a metaphor for the track itself. You got the chicane here, sweet corner, sweet potato. You've got the tightening radius corner here, the two of them linked together before the straight. A little bit tedious and boring, like the salad. And you've got seen as a long straight, build up to top speed. It's a very, very brave right-hander. Pair of balls needed for that one. You've got a spicier section over here, the last two. These sort of double radius turns here, a little bit spicier. Take your prawn salad. What else? That's a bit of a risky corner, like a barbecue chicken. Enjoy lunch.
I forgot how intense this thing is. Woo! Forget the gym. This is where it's at. Just take some time in one of these bad boys. It literally takes your breath away. Whoa. Yeah, even the straights, just panting to get your breath back. There's so much physical effort required all the time. My neck's just falling apart. So, I've been keeping fit, but there's fit and then there's race fit. Two different things.
As you can tell, I'm sweating. It's a bit of a workout. I've got 2 runs in the car. Absolutely flipping amazing to be back in something like this after all these years and connect with the car again. But I'm so grateful to the guys who let me loose in it. And I hope there is a chance to race one of these this year. I will be up there like a rat on the railway. Love all this. And the fury is awesome. Anyway, let me know what you think about all this. What car I should try and steal next.